going to get started today on our backs. So lay flat on your back and bring the soles of your feet together to touch so that the knees are wide. Bring your right hand to your belly and your left hand to your heart. Tuck the chin slightly. Feel for an opening in the back of the neck. And just feel the breath moving in and out. Feel for where your hands rise. Is your right hand moving up and down? Are you breathing into your belly? Or do you feel the breath moving more into the chest? Either or is okay. Just become aware of the breath, where it might become sticky or held. How deep or shallow the breath is. Now come into a space where you can smooth out any oddities in the breath. Start to send the breath deeper into the belly, allowing the breath to become full and ribs to expand outward. And try and equal the inhalations and exhalations. For your own count of 6 to 8 counts in, holding it at the top for a moment, and then exhaling for about 6 to 8 counts out. Holding at the bottom before you restart the cycle. And it doesn't have to be for as long. It doesn't have to be 8 seconds, just your own count of 8. Creating a nice equal breath on the inhalations and exhalations. Creating a focus, something for your mind to do so that you can stay on your mat in this present moment. Now begin to press out all of your air, exhaling every last bit out. Take a deep inhale in through the nose. Get expansive with the breath. And then open the mouth, audible exhale out of the mouth. Take a deep inhale in through the nose. Hold for a moment at the top, and then exhale out of the mouth. And then seal the lips. Continue to inhale and exhale out of the nose. And if you ever start to breathe through your mouth, or you feel like your heart is racing, take a step back. Give yourself some time to regain your composure and your breath, and then jump back into practice when you're ready. Start to bring the knees in towards one another, and then extend the legs out. Toes come together. Extend the arms up overhead. Hook the thumbs together so that you're in one long pencil-like line on the floor. Flex the toes forward and fingertips expand towards the back of your space. It's taking up as much space laterally as you can. And then bring the knees in towards the chest, wrap the forearms around the shins, and rock from side to side. Giving the low back a bit of a massage. And then pause in the middle, grab for your shins, bend into the knees like a 90-ish degree angle, and push the soles of your feet forward, and allow the shoulder blades to come up off of the mat, tucking the chin slightly, hovering the head. Keep the core engaged, pressing down the low back. Try and stamp the bottom of your foot on the wall in front of you. And then rock all the way back. Start to create a rocking motion from the sacrum all the way up towards your shoulder blades. Take as many rocks as you'd like. Try and really round the spine, identifying any place in the back that might feel flat. Try and round out that area. And then when you come to seated, make your way onto all fours, tabletop position, wrists underneath shoulders, and knees underneath hips. Gazes down in between the hands to keep the neck spine long, and start to just move the hips from side to side. When your hips fall over towards the right, gaze over the right shoulder for an exhale. And then send the hips over to the left, gaze over towards the left, try and find that left hip, and then other side. With every exhale, squeeze, inhale back to center. Exhale, squeeze left side body. Bring it back to center, send the hips back in space. Child's pose. This is a pose that you can take if you ever need a break. Inhale, come back up to tabletop. And then send the hips towards your right. Keep bringing the hips back in space towards the right heel. We're just going to come around the world, crossing over towards left heel, coming up into tabletop. And then repeating. Send hips back on your exhale. Wrap it around towards the left. Inhale, come back, bringing hips over your knees. One last time. Exhale, sitting the hips back, coming back around. Inhale to stack. And we're going to go the other way 3 times. Maybe you find bits of creaks and cracks this morning, little pops in the hips. I know I sure feel it. And that's all right. Just little air being compressed and releasing from the joints. So when you're all done with your 3 circles, find a nice tabletop. Nice steady position here. And then inhale to drop the belly, lift the tail and lift the gaze. Exhale, round the spine, tuck the chin into a cat position, arching the back. Inhale, lift, and exhale, round. Connect breath with movement. Inhale, gaze forward. Eyes of the elbows forward in this cow position. And then on your exhale, round through the spine, eyes of the elbows spin inward towards one another. Once more, inhale, lift. And exhale, round. Come back into a tabletop position and start to walk your hands forward, fingertips forward, and start to send the hips back, keeping the gaze in front of you. We're going to come into a puppy pose, coming down onto the forearms if you can. Maybe stay up onto the hands if the shoulders are tight, but that's exactly what we're trying to do, is get into the shoulders. It doesn't have to be your deepest puppy pose. Hips can be a little bit forward if your shoulders are just feeling it this morning. Maybe you have so much space, super loosey-goosey, that your chin can come down onto the mat, or maybe just the forehead. And then begin to walk the hands back underneath the shoulders. Tuck the toes under, and then sit back onto your heels. We're going to come into fire toes. So this might feel like a whole lot on the backs of your calves, maybe the soles of your feet. But here in this tucked position, we're going to draw the attention to the breath once more. Going through breath of fire, which is rapid exhales out of the nose. So the lips are sealed and you only focus on the exhale, snapping the belly in. So we're going to start. Take a deep breath in, and then begin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bring your hands out in front of you. Tap the tops of your feet down on the mat. Tapping out any type of discomfort in the toes. And then without tucking the toes under, just sit back into a hero's pose and wrap your arms behind you, interlacing the fingertips, or interlacing the fingers together, and without extending the arms yet, bring your shoulders up towards your ears and then draw the shoulder blades onto backside body. Bring the elbows together, opening up through the chest, and then begin to straighten through the elbows. You can keep the chin tucked or straight, or maybe lift up the gaze. One more deep inhale into the chest. And then exhale to slowly release. Bring the hands out in front of you, tuck the toes under, and then sit back onto the heels. We're going to go through one more round. If this is ever too much for the backs of your legs, then you can move your knees forward for a little less intense stretch. But if you want the intensity you're feeling, the challenge this morning, walk your knees inward towards you for a more intense sensation. So hands come to the tops of your thighs. Inhale, deep breath, and begin. Stick with it. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Inhale. Hands come forward, tap out the tops of the feet. Sit back towards the heels. And then wrap whatever thumb feels funky on top behind your back. Just adding a bit more consciousness to the pose. Bring the elbows in towards one another. Feel a lifting through the chest. And then straighten through the arms. Drawing the fingers towards the toes. Maybe even further towards the back of your mat. Take note if you're hyperextending the elbows, and maybe take a slight micro bend in the elbows. One more deep inhale, gaze comes up if you're ready. And then exhale, release the grip. Come into your tabletop position, take your time. Flip the toes under, and then send your hips up and back for downward facing dog. Right away, start to pedal out the legs. Bending into one knee, straightening through the other. And then switch. And switch. And one last time. And then when you settle in to a more static down dog, this upside down V position, press into the knuckles, fingers spread wide. Eyes of the elbows forward as much as possible, wrapping the triceps down. Allow your neck to release, head hanging heavy. Find extension in the low back, pressing sits bones up towards the ceiling, where the back wall and your ceiling meet. A bend in the knees is perfectly okay, especially if you have any tight tension in the low back. If you can see your heels behind you in between your feet, then shift your feet so that they're parallel with one another and the heels disappear behind the toes. Press your heels further towards the mat. Take a deep inhale in through the nose. And exhale out of the mouth. Good. Inhale the right leg up and back. Go for length more than height, taking an internal rotation to the right hip. Stamping the foot on the back wall. One more deep inhale. And then bring the knee in towards the chest. Shoulders stack over the wrists. Tuck your chin and maybe tap the top of your knee to your forehead. And then inhale, extend the leg long, three-legged dog. One more inhale to start, and then exhale, bring the knee in towards the chest, round the spine, tuck the chin. Inhale, send it back, three-legged dog. Exhale, bring it in, really lift up the heel towards the buttocks, and then send the foot through between the hands. Come down onto left knee, untuck the left toes, and then sweep your arms up overhead. Frame the ears with the biceps pulling the shoulder blades closer together, palms face towards each other. Draw attention to the left pinky toe. Can you press down with the pinky toe, sending the left hip forward and right hip back? Tuck the floating ribs in to engage the front side body. One deep inhale here, and then exhale, cactus the elbows, creating a goalpost with the arms. Maybe gaze comes up, and crank the inner elbows up towards the ceiling, hands coming back, opening up through the chest. One more inhale. Exhale, straighten through the arms. Inhale, cactus the elbows. Deep breath in. Exhale, straighten through the arms. Tuck the ribs in. Inhale, cactus through the elbows. Exhale, straighten through the arms. Take an inhale here, arms straight. And then exhale, plant the hands down. And then straighten through the right leg, sending the hips back for half splits. Keep the right foot flexed, toes pressing back towards the face. Feel for a nice tugging sensation on the back of the right thigh or calf. Keep the spine long and lift up through the crown of the head. On your inhale, start to bend into that right knee. Untuck the left toes, plant the hands down, and lift up the right foot and send it back into an upper push-up plank position. Breathe here and just shift the toes forward and back. So you're shifting weight onto the tops of the toes and then sending the weight back into the balls of the feet. Just rocking a bit. Circling the shoulders over the wrists a couple of times. Here comes my cat, Samus. Hello. Want to do yoga too? One more inhale here, and then exhale, bend into the knees, send the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Lift the left leg up and back. Keep the hips level by taking an internal rotation to the left hip. Notice if you're equally distributing the weight into your hands and to that right foot, can you keep pushing the left or the right heel towards the mat? One more inhale. Exhale, send the knee forward, round the spine, shoulders over the wrists. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, round forward. Really squeeze it in. Inhale, three-legged dog. Exhale, knee to nose or forehead, left heel to your butt, and then send the left foot through in between the hands. Right knee comes down, untuck the toes, and then send your arms up overhead. Low lunge. Right away, start to pull left hip back, right hip forward this time. Notice if you have any type of C curve in your low back. Can you almost tuck your tailbone slightly to engage front side body? If you find that your shoulders are up towards your ears, draw them back down in space. Lift up through the crown of the head. Cactus through the arms. Spin the inner elbows up and crank the backs of your hands towards your mat. Gaze can come up. Send your hips forward. And breathe into front side body. One deep inhale here. Exhale, straighten through the arms. Inhale, cactus the arms. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, cactus. Exhale, straighten. Once more, inhale, cactus the arms, deep breath here. Exhale, straighten. One inhale in this position. And then exhale, tent your fingertips on your mat, straighten the left leg. And put pressure into that left heel. Feel for your left heel moving back towards your body without actually moving it in space. Feel for that sensation of pulling the top of your left femur bone into the hip socket. And what relationship that creates with the right hip moving forward. Check in with the breath. And then on your inhale, send weight into the left foot. Untuck the right toes, straighten through the right leg. Plant the hands down. And without any type of dragging noise, lift up the left foot and then send it back in space. High plank pose. Measure out hips width distance with the feet. And if you have any wrist or shoulder problems, or you know that there might be some injury, then you might want to come down onto your forearms. But if not, stay up on the hands. And then start to shift your weight to the right side. Coming onto the knife edge of the right foot. And then lift up the left hand, pulling up through the left fingertips. Engage the right obliques, lifting the hips up towards the sky. Take one deep breath here. And then exhale. Replace the left forearm or left hand. And then shift weight onto the left side. Inhaling, right arm up towards the sky. Neck or gaze is up if the neck allows. And keep thinking about the right fingertips reaching up so that you're not dumping into the left shoulder. One deep inhale here. And then exhale, come back to that high plank position. We're gonna take a push-up. So inhale to push the mat away. Exhale, lower down halfway. Keep the elbows wrapped in towards the body. Gaze comes forward. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, look forward. And take little steps towards the front of your mat. Little steps. No need to rush. And once your feet come in between the hands, measure out hips width distance with the feet. And then hang in a forward fold, allowing the head to drop. Knees can be bent. Grab for opposite elbows and sway from side to side. This ragdoll type position. Maybe already you find that you have a little bit more space to work with than the body. And then drop the fingertips towards the ground. Inhale, halfway lift. We're gonna be here for a breath or two. So send weight forward into the toes so that you can stack your hips over your ankles. Again, if you have really tight hamstrings or tight back, you can bend into the knees. But keep sending the crown of the head forward and press the shoulder blades together. One deep inhale. Exhale, fold. Bend heavily into the knees, so much so that the hips are in line with the knees. Send your arms out like airplane wings, palms face down, gaze is down, keeping the neck spine long. Keep the ribs glued towards your thighs. And then interlace your fingers behind your back. Send the elbows together, straighten through the arms, and then begin to straighten through the legs. Go to your edge, finding a forward fold. Send weight into the toes. Palms can pull away from one another, and maybe your fingertips come even deeper towards the mat. Send your shins away from one another without actually moving your feet, and feel for that engagement that travels up your legs and into the sits bones. One last exhale here, and then release the arms. Inhale into chair pose. One sweeping motion, keep the hips low, arms reach up overhead. Tuck the ribs in, lifting up through the core. Send the biceps further back, wrapping the triceps down. Take an inhale to sit a little bit lower. On your exhale, lift the chest higher. One more inhale here, and then exhale, forward fold, let it go. Smooth the breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Plant your right hand out in front of your face, so right below the bridge of the nose. Shift weight forward into the toes so that we're stacking hips over heels. And then slightly bend into the right knee and extend the left arm up towards the sky. A little twist here. Stay up onto the fingertips of the right hand like you're about to hike a football. And with every exhale, twist a little bit deeper. One last exhale here. And then bring it back to center. Replace the left hand with the right, bend into the left knee. Right arm reaches up towards the sky. And only bend into the left knee as much as you need to create the twist. If you have lots of space, maybe both legs are straight. Every body is different. No pun intended. Actually, pun intended. One more exhale. Bring it back to center and fold heavy. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands, step or hop the feet back into an upper push-up plank position. We're going to set up the flow. Inhale to push the mat away. Exhale, lower down halfway. Tuck the toes under, tops of the feet press into the floor. Inhale, upward facing dog, squeezing the shoulder blades together. Gaze maybe comes up. Exhale, downward facing dog, sending the hips up and back. Inhale, lift the right leg up and back. Bring it through in between the hands. And then tense up onto the fingertips and just bounce the hips up and down. Bouncing the hips like you're bouncing a basketball. And then stay in a static runner's lunge. Keep the left hand down and sweep the right arm up towards the sky, and then back towards the back of your space, and then wrap it all the way around, going around the world. Inhale comes up. Exhale, maybe gaze comes behind you, just following that right hand. Inhale, up, drawing a big circle with the right fingertips. Exhale, comes down. Once more, inhale, up. And exhale, down. Now plant the left hand down and then just twist open towards the right, sending left shoulder towards the right knee. One more exhale to twist. And then bring, tense up onto the fingertips. Send left arm back like an airplane wing. And then the other arm back, so that you're in a 45-degree angle. Stay strong in that back straight leg. And press weight into the right foot, sending right knee over the right ankle, and then sweep your arms up overhead. Body rises up, high lunge position. You can bend into the left knee slightly so that you can level out through the hips. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, cactus through the arms. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, cactus through the arms. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. And then we're going to twist towards the side, transition into a warrior two position. Left sole of the foot comes flat on the ground. Gaze is forward, out past right fingertips. Keep that 90-degree angle with the right leg. No cheaters here. And keep pressing into the outside of the left foot so that you can keep the integrity of your arch. Flip the right palm up overhead, reach forward, and then reverse your warrior. Right arm coming up towards the ceiling, or maybe even bending into the right elbow. Left hand can come to your calf or your thigh, or you can wrap it around your back, but make sure you keep bending into the right knee. One inhale here to open up right side body, and then exhale, cartwheel your hands down. Lift up the right foot, send it back, and travel through your flow or vinyasa. Upper push-up to lower push-up, up dog to downward facing dog. Good. 2 deep breaths here. Inhale the left leg up and back. Bring it through between the hands. Quiet step forward, and then bounce into the hips. If you don't like bouncing, you can stay still too. Tense up onto the right fingertips, and then sweep the left arm up and around behind you, following the gaze towards your fingertips. Seeing what type of shoulder mobility you have on the left side. And one more big circle. Inhaling up, exhaling down. Plant the right hand down, and then reach the left arm up. Gentle twist here. Keep the right hip pushing forward, left hip back. Exhale to twist. Bring both hands down towards your mat. Set up your feet. If the other side was a bit of a balance challenge, move that left foot over towards the left a little bit so that you have more stability between the feet, like you're standing on railroad tracks rather than a tightrope. Bring your arms behind you, or your right arm behind you first, and then send the left arm behind you, 45-degree angle from the right heel all the way through the crown of the head. Keep the core engaged, navel pressing in towards the spine, wrapping the ribs in towards each other, sending it towards the midline. Inhale, arms reach overhead for that extension. And then coming all the way up into a high lunge. One deep inhale here, exhale, cactus to the elbows. Inhale, straighten. Feel the burn in the legs. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, straighten the arms. Exhale, cactus. Inhale, straighten. And then sweep forward or to the side for warrior two. You can expand the stance slightly to open more towards the hips, framing the hips toward the side of the room. And press the feet into the mat, grounding through the toes, the big toe mound and the outside of your foot. Feel for a liftedness in the upper body. And then flip the left palm up, reach forward, and then reverse your warrior. Not only going for an opening of left side body, but also a compression of the right obliques. Melt the left shoulder away from the left ear. One deep inhale. And then exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Step the left foot back and travel through your vinyasa. Inhale. Exhale, lower down halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 2 breaths here. Check in with yourself. Ask yourself if you need a rest or a moment to catch your breath. And then look forward. Step or hop towards the front of your mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward. Bend into the knees and slowly roll up one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way up to standing eventually. There's no rush to get there. When you get about 3/4 of the way to standing, start to straighten through the legs. And then chin comes up last. Roll the shoulders behind a couple of times. And then here in your standing position, take one deep breath in. Exhale, open up towards the left, sending left hip or left foot, big step towards the back of your mat. Turn your toes in, heels out, a wide-legged stance. Bring the arms out towards the sides of your room, like a T position. Lift up through the crown of the head, deep inhale. And then exhale, lead with the heart. Lead with the heart and try and keep your legs super engaged, kneecaps pulling up the thighs. And then eventually, hands can come towards the floor. Maybe you bend into the elbows and you have more space to hinge forward from the hips, not rounding through the spine, rather hinging from the hips. Feel for an opening in the backs of the thighs. Lift up through the sits bones. And you can identify that type of sensation by really pressing into the outer edges of your feet. This will create some awakening in the sides of your legs. Allow the head to fall towards your mat, creating a nice long spine. And then inhale, halfway lift. Plant the right hand down in front of your face so that it's like a triangle between both feet and your hand. And tense up onto the fingertips like you have a cupcake underneath your hand that you don't want to smush. And then inhale, left arm reaches up towards the sky, twisting towards the left. Oh yeah, that feels good in the low back. Exhale, twist open a little bit further. And then inhale, replace the right hand with the left. Set up, bringing the spine nice and long, and the eye of the left elbow forward towards our new front of the space. And then exhale, opening up towards the side. Lift out of the left shoulder and exhale to twist. Bring it back to center. Fold forward. And if you'd like a bit more of a shoulder stretch, you can bring your hands behind your back, interlacing the fingers, straightening the elbows, and allowing the hands to come forward, sending weight into the toes so that the hips are in line with the heels. Good. Now bring the arms out like a T, and with as flat of a back as possible, start to make your way up. Hopefully with straight legs or as much as you can. And then send the toes out, heels in, so that your knees and your toes are in the same direction, pointing outward. And then bend into the knees. Try and get your seat so that they're in line with your knees. Bring your hands down onto the thighs. Rock from side to side. And then pause in the middle. Start to look over the right shoulder. Keep the left arm straight, bend into the right elbow. Exhale to twist. Inhale, come back to center. And start to gaze over the left shoulder. Straighten through the right elbow, bend into the left. Keep the hips low. Exhale to twist. Inhale to center. And repeat both sides all on your own. Exhaling to twist. Inhale back to center. Stay low. Exhale, twist. Inhale to center. Arms reach up overhead. Ready for it? Breath of fire. Snap the belly in. Deep inhale in, star pose, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, goddess pose. Arms reach towards your sides, palms face up. Hold it here. Send the hips low. Inhale, straighten through the legs, straighten through the arms. Hands come to heart center. And then make your way back to the top of your mat. Deep breath in, cleansing breath out. Bring your hands towards your sides. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. Exhale, sit down into your chair. Take a deep inhale in to elevate the spine. And then exhale, forward fold. Start to walk your feet away from one another so that they're about mats width distance apart. And then sit your seat down in between your heels. Yogi squat. Bring the hands to heart center. Press the elbows in towards the inner thighs and give that pressure right back into the elbows. Tuck the tailbone and send your gaze out past the bridge of your nose. If you have any lower back pain, this is a great pose to do every day. Opening up through the hips. And when you tuck the tailbone and press the knees away from one another so that they're tracking over the ankles, you should feel for an engagement in the glute and outer thigh. Just strengthening these muscles a bit more while we're opening up through the inner thigh groin area. One more deep inhale here. And then exhale, start to sit all the way on your mat. You're almost there. And then bring your feet out in front of you. Bring your hips to the center of your mat. And I'm gonna turn this way so that I can, so that you might get a better angle of what we're going to do next. But you're gonna send your left knee forward, like in a bent position, and then wrap the right knee on top. So I'll go through a different variation if this isn't accessible, but something to get both knees stacked is to lean forward, lifting up the hips so that you can stack the knees a bit easier. If this is just not working today, then you can bring your left knee on the bottom in a parallel position with the side of your mat, and then cross the right ankle on top of the left knee in this fire log pose. This is the one that I'm going to do today. And bring your right hand out towards the side of your space, and then lift up the left arm. Drawing the left shoulder away from the left ear. Maybe even bending into the right elbow, coming onto the forearm. Try and keep an equal distribution of weight into both sits bones. And not only breathe space into the left ribs and along left side body, but also into the right hip. You might feel a bit of discomfort. But as long as it's not pain, you can get through it and breathe your way through any type of uncomfortable sensation. One more inhale here. And then exhale, come back to center. Uncross the legs. And make your way into the same pose or variation that you did on the other side, on this side. And each side can feel and look completely different. Although our bodies are symmetrical, they look symmetrical, they're not. So just notice if one side is tighter than the other, and maybe you begin to be aware of your day-to-day processes and activities, and you'll recognize what you might be doing throughout your day that can create an imbalance in the body. The way you walk, the way you get into your car, the way you sit. So start to make your way onto left hand. Extend the right arm overhead. Gaze is up if available. And maybe you bend into the left elbow and you say, oh, nope, that's too much. You can back out. But as you come onto your mat more often, You'll find a little bit of extra space here and there. It might not happen tomorrow or the next day or the next day. But after time of practice, you'll have that surprising moment when you have enough room to do something that you didn't before. Take one more deep breath in. And then on your exhale, start to make your way back to center. Uncross the legs. And send them out long for a seated forward fold. So inhale the arms up overhead. And then exhale, send the chest down towards the mat. Wherever your hands land, whether it's your shins or your mat or your feet, grab onto what you can. Inhale to push the chest forward, and then exhale, lower down a little bit more. Bent knees are okay, but if you find that you have a little bit more space in the backs of your hamstrings now, you can start to lengthen through the knees. Keep the toes flexed, pulling back towards your face. And maybe you are flexing your feet so much that the heels lift up off of the mat. Finding an intenser or more intense stretch in the backs of the legs. Exhale into any space that you might have created. And it could be so small, like a micro movement, something that you can't see with the naked eye, but you could sure feel it. And then inhale, come all the way back up to center. Shift your weight back. Elevate the feet so that the shins are in line or parallel with the mat. Pull the shoulder blades together, opening up through the chest. Arms go straight, palms face up. Tuck in the core, really engage through front side body. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, lower down halfway into a canoe position, a low boat position. On your inhale, squeeze all the way back up. Knees come in towards the chest. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, lower down. Really keep that core engaged. Tops of hips pulling up into the chest. And then inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, lower down. Flutter kick the legs. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Bring the knees in towards the chest. Give yourself a nice big hug. Rock from side to side, just the way that we started class. And then send the soles of your feet together, wrapping the, interlacing your fingers around your feet. And then once you have somewhat of a bind in the soles of your feet together, press the feet in towards your body, whether it's your heels are tracking over your hips, or if you bring them up above the chest for a bit of a different sensation. Keep the shoulder blades onto the mat and tuck your chin slightly, elongating the back of the neck. Start to open up through the feet, holding onto the bottoms of your feet for a happy baby. And here you can rock from side to side as well. Right here is a good opportunity for an expressive breath. And nobody's here, nobody else is here to, make fun of you. So why not just do it? A flutter of the lips is great. Or a lion's breath, tongue out, eyes wide. And here, if you make those funny breaths or sounds, you're just releasing any type of micro tension in your muscles and your face. We spend all class working on the big muscle groups of our body. It's important to take note of the smaller ones as well. So start to straighten through the legs, sending the heels towards the front of your space. And then bring your arms out by your sides, palms face up. We're setting up for our final pose, final Shavasana, or corpse pose. Close the eyes and part the lips slightly, allowing the breath to come back to normal. No breath control here. Take one final scan of the body, relaxing in areas that might still be a little bit tight or that you're holding on to. For me, it's the big joints of the body, the hips. Allow the hips to relax, the hip flexors to release. A lot of times we hold on to the muscles in our chest. And over time, this can create a rounding sensation in the upper back, poor posture. So it's important to keep your heart open, not close off from the world. Take note of your breath. And although you're not controlling the breath, recognize the quality. Perhaps it's more smooth or soft. Now you can stay here as long as you'd like. Or if you'd like to seal off the practice in a seated position, we're going to move there now. But it's perfectly fine to stay in this resting pose for a little bit longer. Start to deepen the breath. Create some movement in the fingers and the toes. Circling the wrists, flexing the feet back, pointing the toes. And start to move the knees in towards the chest. And then rock onto one side of your body, passing through a fetal position, just for a moment. And pressing all the way up to a comfortable seat, whether that's on your shins or crossing your legs. With a soft gaze or closed eyes, bring the hands to heart center. Take this moment for gratitude. Gratitude for yourself making it to your mat, the people in your life, loved ones or strangers. And take your practice out into the world, maybe shining it a little bit brighter today. The peace and light in me sees the same peace and light in you. Namaste.